The discovery. Dr. Elena Santos stood motionless in the ancient chamber, her headlamp casting long shadows across walls covered in impossible writing. After 15 years of xenorchaeology, she had thought nothing could surprise her anymore. She had been wrong. The ruins on Kepler 186f had seemed ordinary at first, just another abandoned alien outpost from a long-dead civilization. But as her team had dug deeper beneath the red soil of this distant world, they had found something extraordinary. The chamber she stood in now dated back over 50 million years, yet it contained clear depictions of human beings. "This can't be right," she muttered, running her gloved hand over the crystalline surface. The images showed humans standing among stars, their forms unmistakable despite the vast age of the carvings. Next to them were symbols she had never encountered before, glowing with a faint blue luminescence that seemed to pulse in time with her touch. Her comm unit crackled. "Dr. Santos." It was Martinez, her assistant. "We've got company. 3 ships just entered orbit. They're not Earth fleet." Elena's heart quickened. In 15 years of exploration, she had never seen an alien vessel in person. First contact had happened decades ago, but interactions remained rare and carefully regulated. For 3 ships to appear now, just as they had made this discovery, "Pack up the essential equipment," she ordered, "and make sure all our scans are backed up to the quantum drives." She took one last look at the chamber walls. The central image showed a human figure holding what appeared to be a sphere of pure light, while alien beings bowed before it. The implications were staggering. Either some ancient species had known about humanity millions of years before humans had even evolved, or the alternative was almost too fantastic to consider. Her comm crackled again. "Doctor, the ships are launching shuttles. They're heading straight for us." Elena quickly photographed the final sections of wall she hadn't documented yet. As she worked, her mind raced through possibilities. The chamber's location had been classified. Only her team and a few top officials at the Xenorchaeological Institute knew about it. So how had these ships known exactly where to find them? The ground trembled slightly as the first shuttle landed somewhere above. Elena quickly packed her equipment, but she couldn't resist reaching out to touch the central image one last time. The moment her fingers made contact with the glowing crystal, something extraordinary happened. The entire chamber blazed with brilliant blue light. Symbols she hadn't even noticed before lit up in complex patterns across the ceiling and floor. And a voice, not heard with her ears but felt in her bones, spoke in perfect English. Recognition pattern confirmed. Human genetic signature authenticated. Initiating protocol safeguard. Martinez's voice came through in a panic. "Doctor, you need to see this. The ship's in orbit. They're gone. Just gone. And there's something else up here." The chamber's far wall was dissolving, revealing a corridor that couldn't possibly exist given the solid rock they had excavated through. The voice spoke again. "The time has come. Your species must know the truth." Elena Santos stood at the threshold of discovery, knowing that whatever lay down that corridor would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. She had sought ancient knowledge her entire career, but now she wondered, were there some secrets better left buried? The corridor beckoned, its walls lined with the same luminescent crystals. From somewhere in its depths came a humming that seemed to resonate with something deep in her DNA. She thought of all the theories about humanity's seemingly impossible rise from stone tools to spaceflight in a mere 10,000 years. All the questions about why humans were so different from a handful of other sentient species they had encountered. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. The answers were waiting, whether humanity was ready for them or not. The passage twisted downward, each step taking her further from everything she had ever known or believed. The humming grew stronger, and with it came fragments of understanding, as if the very walls were downloading information directly into her consciousness. Humanity wasn't just another species that happened to achieve spaceflight. They were something else entirely, something that had been hidden, protected, and prepared for a greater purpose. The images she had discovered weren't a record of the past. They were a prophecy of what was to come. As Elena reached the bottom of the passage, she emerged into a vast chamber that defied all logic and possibility. And there, suspended in a field of pure energy, was an object that would shatter every theory of human history ever written. The real question was no longer about humanity's past, but about its future, because whatever force had hidden this place had done so for a reason. And now, after 50 million years of waiting, that reason was about to become clear. Martinez's voice came through one final time before her calm went dead. "Doctor, there are more ships appearing. Hundreds of them. And they're all broadcasting the same message." Elena looked up at the swirling energies above her and knew, with absolute certainty, that humanity's comfortable isolation in its small corner of the galaxy was about to end. The real question was, would humanity survive what came next? The Guardian's test. The message broadcasting from the hundreds of ships now surrounding Kepler 186f was deceptively simple. The awakening has begun. The children of light must be tested. In the heart of the underground chamber, Elena watched as the swirling energy field before her coalesced into a humanoid form. The being that stepped forth was tall and ethereal, its form shifting between solid matter and pure light. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of eons. "I am Sentinel Prime, last of the Luminary Council," it said. "We have waited a very long time for this moment. Elena Santos of Earth." Elena stood her ground, though every instinct screamed at her to run. "What are you? What is this place?" "We are the ones who seeded the stars with life," the being replied. "And humans are our greatest creation. Though you were never meant to know this until you were ready." Above ground, Martinez and the rest of the team were witnessing something equally extraordinary. The alien ships had begun arranging themselves in a vast geometric pattern above the planet. Energy beams connected them, forming a lattice of light that enclosed the entire world. "This is a containment field," Sentinel Prime explained, responding to Elena's unasked question. "It is necessary. What happens here must not spread until we know if humanity is prepared." "Prepared for what?" "To become what you were always meant to be." The beam gestured, and the chamber walls became transparent, revealing a vast network of similar chambers stretching out in all directions. Each contained technology beyond human comprehension. "This facility is one of many we left throughout the galaxy. They contain the tools and knowledge your species will need, if you prove worthy." Elena's scientific mind raced to process the implications. "You're saying humans were engineered, created for some purpose?" "Not created," Sentinel Prime corrected. "Guided and protected. There are forces in this universe that would have destroyed humanity in its infancy if they had known what you would become. Even now, they gather at the edges of your known space, sensing that the time of revelation is near." As if to emphasize this point, new alerts began blaring from Elena's surviving equipment. Massive energy signatures were appearing at the edge of the solar system. More ships, but these were different from the geometric pattern makers above. These radiated malevolence. "The Void Hunters," Sentinel Prime said grimly. "They sensed the awakening. They come to stop it, as they have destroyed countless other potential species before." The being turned its luminous gaze fully on Elena. "You understand now why this test must happen quickly. Humanity must prove itself ready, or we cannot protect you from what comes next." "What kind of test?" Elena asked, though she already suspected the answer would change everything. "Your species carries within its genetic code a capability that no other race has ever successfully developed. The ability to manipulate the fundamental forces that bind reality together. This facility, and others like it, were created to help you unlock this potential. But power without wisdom brings only destruction. We must know if humanity can be trusted with such knowledge." The chamber hummed with increasing energy as Sentinel Prime raised its hands. The air itself seemed to crystallize, forming a complex pattern of light and shadow. "Look closely," Elena Santos. What you choose in the next few moments will determine not only humanity's fate, but the fate of all living things in this galaxy. The pattern began to move, showing her visions of possible futures. In one, she saw humanity ascending to godlike power, reshaping reality at will. In another, she saw that same power corrupting, turning humans into beings of pure destruction. The weight of this responsibility felt crushing. Why me? She managed to ask. I'm just a scientist. I'm not qualified to make this choice for all of humanity. You were chosen precisely because you are a seeker of knowledge who understands its price, Sentinel Prime replied. The test is not what you think. It is not about proving humanity's worth through power or intelligence. The beam's form began to fade, merging with the swirling energies. The test is about understanding what power is truly for. Look into the pattern, Elena Santos. See not what humanity could become, but what humanity already is. The answer lies not in the future, but in your past. As Sentinel Prime's form dissolved completely, Elena found herself alone with the shifting pattern of light and shadow. Above, the hostile ships drew ever closer. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and somehow she had to find the right answer hidden in the story of her own species' journey from caves to the stars. Time was running out. The test had begun. The hidden power. Elena stared into the shifting pattern before her, its light casting shadows that danced across the ancient chamber walls. As she studied it, memories began to surface, not just her own, but fragments of humanity's collective journey. She saw cave paintings drawn by firelight, pyramids rising stone by stone, ships venturing across vast oceans toward unknown horizons. In orbit, the Void Hunter ships had begun their attack on the geometric barrier. Each blast sent ripples through the lattice of light, but the shield held firm. Martinez's voice crackled through her partially functioning comm. Doctor, whatever you're doing down there, you need to hurry. These new ships, they're like nothing we've ever seen. Elena barely heard him. She was lost in the stream of human history flowing through her mind. She saw the first wheels turning, the first seeds being planted, the first words being written. But more than the inventions themselves, she saw something else, something that had been there all along, hidden in plain sight. The pattern, she whispered. It's not about power at all, is it? The air shimmered as Sentinel Prime's voice returned, though its form remained dispersed. You begin to understand. What do you see, Elena Santos? I see connection. The realization struck her with the force of revelation. Every major leap forward in human history wasn't just about the discovery itself. It was about how we shared it, how we built upon each other's knowledge. The cave paintings weren't just art. They were the first attempt to share stories across time. The pattern shifted, responding to her words. Images formed. Ancient trade routes crossing continents, ideas spreading from culture to culture, knowledge passing from generation to generation. The power you speak of, Elena continued, her voice growing stronger. It's not about manipulating reality through force. It's about connection. Humans have a unique ability to bind things together, not just physical things, but ideas, cultures, even opposing viewpoints. We're natural synthesizers. The chamber hummed with increasing energy as the pattern began to glow brighter. Above, the Void Hunter's attacks intensified, but Elena barely noticed. She was seeing humanity's history with new eyes. That's why we advanced so quickly compared to other species, she said. Not because we were somehow better, but because we're natural connectors. We take disparate ideas and combine them into something new. We see patterns others miss because we're always looking for ways to bridge gaps, to bring things together. Yes, Sentinel Prime's voice resonated through the chamber. Now you understand why you were chosen. The universe is falling apart, Elena Santos. The very fabric of reality frays as entropy increases. The Void Hunters represent this decay. They seek to accelerate it, believing that destruction is the natural end of all things. The pattern suddenly expanded, filling the entire chamber. Elena found herself floating in a vast representation of the cosmos. She could see the tiers in reality that Sentinel Prime spoke of, places where the fundamental forces that bound the universe together were coming undone. Humanity's gift is not destruction or dominance, she said, the truth becoming clearer with each word. It's synthesis, connection, the ability to bind things together in new ways. That's why we were protected for so long, because we might be the only species capable of healing these breaks in reality. The chamber resonated with approval. The power was never meant to be used for conquest or control, Sentinel Prime confirmed. It was meant for restoration, for healing the cosmic fabric itself. But such power can only be wielded by those who understand its true purpose. Suddenly, Elena's perspective shifted. She could see the DNA in every human cell, but not as a mere chemical structure. She saw it as a pattern, a template that mimicked the fundamental forces that held reality together. Humans weren't just pattern recognizers. They were pattern completers. Their very genetic code contained the ability to reinforce the bonds that kept the universe whole. The Void Hunters fear us, she realized, not because of what we might destroy, but because of what we might preserve. They want entropy to win. They want everything to come apart. The chamber trembled as another attack struck the barrier above. But now Elena could see the geometric pattern of ships for what it really was, not just a shield, but a key waiting to unlock humanity's true potential. The test isn't about proving our worth, she said finally. It's about proving we understand what our power is actually for. It's not about domination or control. It's about preservation, connection, and healing. The pattern pulsed with blinding light as her words echoed through the chamber. In that moment, Elena felt something shift, not just in the room, but in the very fabric of space-time around her. The test was complete, but the real challenge was just beginning. Now humanity would have to choose. Would they accept their role as the universe's healers? And more importantly, were they ready for the responsibility that came with such power? The answer would change everything. The choice. The ancient chamber thrummed with power as Elena's understanding resonated through its crystalline walls. Above, the Void Hunters' assault on the geometric barrier intensified, dark energy weapons creating spiderweb cracks in the lattice of light. Time was running out. Understanding is only the first step. Sentinel Prime's voice echoed through the chamber. Now comes the true challenge. The power to heal reality must be accepted willingly, and not by you alone. All of humanity must choose this path. Elena's heart sank. But that's impossible. How can all of humanity make such a choice? We can barely agree on simple things, let alone something this momentous. The pattern surrounding her shifted, showing her a vision of Earth. She saw her homeworld as she had never seen it before, not just its physical form, but the countless invisible connections binding its people together. Internet signals, radio waves, satellite communications, and deeper still, the subtle quantum entanglements that linked all human consciousness. You already possess the network, Sentinel Prime explained. You built it yourselves, instinctively seeking connection even before you understood why. We need only activate it. Martinez's voice crackled through her comm again, thick with static. Doctor, the barrier is failing. We have minutes at most. Whatever you're going to do. Elena took a deep breath. What do you need me to do? The chamber's energies coalesced into a swirling sphere of light before her. Touch the nexus. Your understanding will cascade through the network, reaching every human mind simultaneously. They will see what you have seen, know what you have learned. Then they must choose. Elena reached toward the sphere, then hesitated. The responsibility. It's too much. What if we make the wrong choice? That fear, Sentinel Prime replied, that very awareness of consequence is why your species was chosen. The Void Hunters never question, never doubt. They simply destroy. But humans understand the weight of choice. Above, the barrier cracked further. Through the gaps, Elena could see the Void Hunters' ships, massive, angular forms that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their weapons charged for another barrage. Elena steeled herself and plunged her hand into the sphere of light. The effect was instantaneous and overwhelming. She felt her consciousness expand, connecting to billions of minds across space and time. Every human on Earth, in the colonies, on ships throughout the solar system. All of them suddenly aware. All of them seeing through her eyes. She showed them everything. The pattern, the fraying fabric of reality, humanity's unique ability to heal it. She showed them the Void Hunters and what they represented, the entropy that would eventually consume everything unless it was stopped. She showed them what their choice would mean. The power to heal reality came with a price. Humans would have to devote themselves to preservation rather than destruction, to connection rather than division. They would have to become guardians of existence itself, working to repair the cosmic fabric even as the universe tried to unravel. Through the network, she felt the initial shock and disbelief ripple across humanity. Then came fear, wonder, doubt, and hope. A cacophony of emotions and thoughts that threatened to overwhelm her. But underneath it all, she felt something else building. Recognition. Deep in their DNA, in the very pattern of their existence, humans had always known they were meant for something more. Every myth of destiny, every story of chosen ones, every human impulse to protect and preserve. It had all been preparation for this moment. The Void Hunters' ships pressed their attack, the barrier now seconds from collapse. But in that same moment, something extraordinary happened. Across Earth and its colonies, humans began to choose, not with words or votes, but with the very essence of their being. Elena felt it through the network. A cascade of acceptance, a tidal wave of commitment. Not everyone, not all at once, but enough. A critical mass of humanity embracing their true purpose. The sphere of light in her hands pulsed, and suddenly she could feel the power that had lain dormant in human DNA for millennia beginning to awaken. It wasn't a weapon or a force of destruction. It was something far more fundamental. The ability to reinforce the very bonds that held reality together. As the barrier finally shattered and the Void Hunters began their final attack, Elena felt humanity's newfound power surge through her. The choice had been made. Now they would face its first test. The real question was, would their power awaken in time to stop the coming darkness? Or had humanity's moment of consciousness come too late to save itself? And the universe, from unraveling. The new dawn. As the Void Hunters' ships breached the failing barrier, time seemed to slow. Elena stood in the ancient chamber, her consciousness still linked to billions of human minds through the awakened network. She could feel humanity's newly unleashed power coursing through her veins, through all their veins, not as a weapon, but as something far more fundamental. The first blast from the Void Hunters struck the planet's surface, its dark energy beginning to unravel the very fabric of reality around the impact site. But this time, something was different. Where the cosmic fabric began to fray, billions of human minds reached out instinctively, their newfound power working to reinforce the weakening bonds of existence. Now you see, Sentinel Prime's voice resonated through the chamber. This is what you were meant to be. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but preservers of the very thing that makes existence possible. Connection itself. Through the network, Elena felt humanity's collective understanding deepen. Each person contributed their unique perspective, their individual way of seeing patterns and forming connections. Scientists recognized the quantum principles at work. Artists saw the aesthetic patterns. Philosophers grasped the metaphysical implications, all of it combining into something greater than the sum of its parts. The Void Hunters launched another attack, more powerful than the first. But now humanity was ready. Elena watched in awe as humans across the planet, and in space stations and colonies throughout the solar system, instinctively worked in concert. Their power didn't manifest as energy beams or shields. Instead, reality itself seemed to strengthen wherever their influence reached, becoming more resilient, more fundamentally connected. The Void Hunter's weapons, designed to unravel the fabric of space-time, found themselves working against a force they had never encountered before. Their entropy-inducing rays met a wall of pure connection, of bonds being constantly reinforced faster than they could be broken. Through the network, Alina felt a message ripple from mind to mind. We are not alone in this fight. The geometric ships that had formed the barrier now moved to join them, their ancient technology synchronizing with humanity's awakened abilities. The Luminary Council had prepared this moment for millions of years, waiting for humanity to realize its potential. The Void Hunters pressed their attack, but with each attempt to destroy, they found themselves facing not just humanity's power, but its fundamental nature. Humans had spent their entire existence learning to build, connect, and preserve. Now those skills were being applied on a cosmic scale. Alina watched as the dark ships began to retreat, their weapons useless against a force they couldn't comprehend. Humanity wasn't fighting them in any traditional sense. They were simply doing what humans had always done best: creating connections, strengthening bonds, finding ways to make things work together that shouldn't work at all. As the last Void Hunter ship disappeared into the darkness of space, Alina felt the network pulse with a new understanding. This wasn't just a victory. It was the beginning of something far greater. As the last Void Hunter ship disappeared into the darkness of space, Alina felt the network pulse with a new understanding. This wasn't just a victory. It was the beginning of something far greater. The test is complete, Sentinel Prime announced, its form solidifying one final time. But your true work is just beginning. The universe is vast, and there are many tears in its fabric that need healing. Humanity's gift is needed now more than ever. Through the network, Alina felt her species' response. Not in words, but in collective purpose. Humans had always dreamed of finding their destiny among the stars. Now they had found it, not as conquerors or colonizers, but as healers of reality itself. The ancient chamber began to pulse with new energy as similar facilities across the galaxy awakened, ready to help humanity learn to use their power more effectively. The pattern that had started it all shifted one final time, showing Alina visions of the future, not as fixed events, but as possibilities. She saw human ships venturing out into the galaxy, not to claim territory but to repair the damage done by eons of entropy. She saw new technologies developing, based on humanity's unique understanding of connection and synthesis. She saw her species growing, learning, evolving, not away from their humanity, but into a fuller expression of what humanity had always been meant to be. The choice has been made, Sentinel Prime said, its form beginning to fade. But each day, it must be made again. The power to heal reality is not a destination, but a journey. One that humanity will now take not just as a species, but as guardians of existence itself. As the beam vanished, Alina felt the network pulse with determination and purpose. The universe was wounded, fraying at its edges, but humanity finally understood its role. They were the weavers, the connectors, the ones who could see the patterns that bound everything together and make them stronger. The sun rose over Kepler 186f, its light catching the crystalline structures that had waited so long to reveal their purpose. Humanity had passed its greatest test, not through force or power, but through understanding their true nature. They were the children of light, the healers of reality, the preservers of connection. The new dawn had come, and with it, humanity's true journey was finally beginning.